She has a name picked out. She has had it picked out since she was 26. A girl's name and a boy's name, written in the Notes app on her phone in a folder she has never shown anyone. She is 32 years old. She has been with her partner for 6 years. They own a dog. They talk about the future in careful, specific terms. They are responsible. They are ready in every way that people mean when they say ready. They are not going to have children. Not because they changed their minds, not because they discovered they didn't want them, not because of some life philosophy they read about in a magazine. Because they ran the numbers. And the numbers said no. Her name is Sarah, and she is not alone. She is just one of millions of Americans who are grieving something they never got to lose. Here is what nobody says out loud at Thanksgiving when the family asks when the kids are coming. Nobody says, "We did the math and we cannot do it without destroying everything else we built." Nobody says that. They say they're not ready yet. They say they're focused on their careers. They smile and change the subject and go home and do not talk about it for 3 days. According to the Brookings Institution, the U.S. birth rate has fallen to its lowest recorded level in American history. Not a dip, a sustained, accelerating decline that demographers are now calling a structural shift, the kind that does not reverse on its own. And according to a 2023 survey by Morning Consult, 36% of childless adults under 45 who say they want children cite cost as the primary reason they do not have them yet. Not ambivalence, not lifestyle preference, cost. On r/Lost Generation, a post titled, "We Want Kids, we literally just cannot afford them. Anyone else?" collected over 34,000 upvotes and 1,400 comments. The comments did not debate the decision, they confirmed it. Thousands of people opening spreadsheets in the comments section, doing the math in public for the first time. That post did not go viral because it was controversial. It went viral because it was a confession everyone recognized. This story is one of millions playing out across America right now. If this kind of honest storytelling matters to you, hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Now, back to what this really means. So what does the math actually look like? Sarah lives in Nashville, Tennessee. She is a registered nurse. She works 12-hour shifts 3 days a week and brings home $58,000 a year after taxes. Her partner, Derek, is a high school teacher. He makes $47,000. Together, they earn $105,000 a year. By every traditional measure, that is a comfortable household income. That is solidly middle class. That is the number that 20 years ago meant you could have a family. Here is their month. Mortgage on a 3-bedroom house, the house they bought specifically because it has a room they have been calling the nursery for 2 years, is $2,100. Property taxes and insurance bring it to $2,400. Student loans. Sarah owes $61,000 from nursing school. Derek owes $38,000. Combined monthly payment, $890. Groceries, utilities, car payments, insurance, $1,800. That is $5,090 gone before they have paid for anything else. Their combined take-home is approximately $6,900 a month. They have $1,810 left. Now, Sarah opens a different spreadsheet, the one she made 18 months ago and has not been able to delete. Childcare for one infant in Nashville, $1,400 to $1,800 a month. That is not a luxury option. That is the average. Health insurance upgrade for a dependent, $340 a month. Diapers, formula, basic supplies for year 1, $300 a month.
That is $2,040 to $2,440 in new monthly expenses. They have $1,810. She does not need to finish the calculation. She has finished it 14 times. The answer is always the same number: negative.
She closed the laptop the last time in October. Derek asked her what was wrong. She said nothing. She went to check on the dog. She stood in the hallway outside the room they painted light green 18 months ago, and she did not cry because she had already cried about this, and crying had not changed the math. She put her hand on the door. She went to bed. Before anyone says it, yes, people have always found a way. Yes, families raise children on less. Yes, there are Americans right now with lower incomes who have children and are managing. That is true. And here is what is also true. The cost of having and raising a child in America has increased at more than twice the rate of wage growth over the past 30 years. What your parents could absorb on one income now requires two incomes and still may not be enough.
According to the USDA's most recent report, the cost of raising a single child from birth to age 18 in the United States now exceeds $310,000. That number does not include college. It does not include the income lost if one parent reduces hours or leaves work entirely. It does not include the mental health costs of trying to do it while financially underwater. It is just the baseline. On r/parenting, a thread titled "Honest Question: How do people afford this?" runs every few months. The answers are always the same: family help, geographic luck, one partner's income covering childcare alone, or the quiet acknowledgement that they are not really affording it, they are financing it and hoping. One comment read, "We have 2 kids and I love them more than anything. I also want to be honest. We are 1 car repair away from not making rent. Nobody told us it would be like this."
That is not a failure of planning. According to Care.com's 2023 Cost of Care report, the average annual cost of full-time infant care in the United States is $22,000. In major cities, it exceeds $35,000. For context, the average in-state college tuition is $10,940 a year. Childcare costs more than college, and there is no financial aid for it. But here is what the data actually shows. This is not a generation that stopped wanting families. This is a generation that cannot afford the entry fee. The United States is one of the only wealthy nations on earth with no federally mandated paid parental leave.
Not limited paid leave, no paid leave, none. The Family and Medical Leave Act guarantees 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave, which means the right to not be fired while also not being paid while caring for a newborn. Germany offers up to 14 months of paid parental leave. Sweden offers 16 months. Canada offers 12. Japan offers over a year with income replacement. The United States offers the right to return to your job if you can survive without income for 3 months. And childcare. According to the Center for American Progress, the United States ranks last among wealthy nations in public investment in early childhood care and education as a percentage of GDP. Last, behind every comparable country, every single one.
This is not an accident. It is a choice, a sustained, decades-long policy choice to treat the raising of children as a private financial burden rather than a public investment. And the people absorbing that burden, the ones running the spreadsheets at midnight, the ones painting nurseries they are not sure they will ever use, the ones having the conversation they cannot finish, they are not failing the American family. The American family is failing them.
According to a 2023 report by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, child poverty in the United States increased significantly after the expiration of the expanded child tax credit in 2022, a temporary measure that cut child poverty nearly in half before Congress allowed it to lapse. It worked. They ended it anyway. The math was never an accident.
We have built an entire cultural conversation around the choice not to have children. We debate it, we analyze it, we write think pieces about selfishness and fulfillment and generational values. We argue about birth rates like they are a lifestyle trend and not an economic distress signal. But here is what we are not saying. For millions of Americans, this is not a philosophical choice. It is not a rejection of family or tradition or the future. It is a financial calculation made in private, at night, on a spreadsheet, by people who wanted something they could not afford and eventually stopped letting themselves want it. That is a different conversation entirely. When a society prices out its own next generation, when the cost of a child exceeds what two working people can absorb, it is not experiencing a cultural shift. It is experiencing a failure. The grief in Sarah's hallway, her hand on a door painted light green, is not the grief of someone who chose differently. It is the grief of someone who was priced out of a life she wanted, quietly, without acknowledgement, without a policy response, without anyone in Washington standing up and saying, "We made this too expensive, and we are going to fix it." Instead, we ask why young people aren't having children, as if they didn't already do the math, as if the answer isn't sitting right there in the spreadsheet they cannot bring themselves to delete. Sarah still has the name saved in her Notes app. She has not deleted it. Derek knows about the spreadsheet. They do not talk about it on weeknights. They talk about the dog and work and what to make for dinner and whether they should refinance and all the ordinary things that fill a life. The room is still light green. They have not painted over it. There are millions of rooms like that in America right now, painted in optimism, waiting for a math problem that does not have a solution yet. So here is the question nobody in Washington is asking, but every couple in their 30s already knows the answer to. What does it mean when a country makes it financially impossible to build the future it says it values? If this video finally said what you've been thinking, hit that like button.